Welcome back, everybody. Last round, we're going to make it our best of the entrepreneurial web. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox, here with my guest, Liz Novello, zooming in from Basking Ridge, New Jersey. So we were just discussing how important digital platforms are to your business these days. Liz was detailing her crazy scenario selling houses virtually and digitally,
Yes.
which I'm still having trouble wrapping my head around. Can you think, just based off of your experiences, one in business and your surroundings and some of the people you talked to lately, are there some other digital gems that we didn't talk about today? I mean, obviously, social media is really important. I've been stressing to people how do you make your website in particular transactional in some way? Like it can't be all informational. How do you make it transactional in some way? Are there some other, is there something I'm missing, something that you found that you've just been fascinated by recently?
I mean, listen, I really have been educated by my brother, who I think knows how to build brands, right?
Yeah.
He's probably built the biggest brand that I know,
Mm-hmm.
besides Nike and things like that, teaching people. And so, um, with that mentality, for me, it's all about connecting. I think that people buy from people.
Mm-hmm.
People like to have the interaction. And so I think not focusing on so much the transaction and being a giver, I think in the long run will be transactional.
Right. Absolutely.
So
100%.
for me, it's like, the other day there was a young guy who reached out to me on DM and said, Liz, I'm thinking about going into real estate. And I said, call me. Because it was easier for me to share my thoughts on call. And I don't think a lot of people want to take, that was a 30-minute call. It
Mm-hmm.
it won't really do anything for me. That wasn't transaction for me.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe he'll remember and maybe he'll send me a client my way. And I just like helping people. So I don't focus so much on the transaction. I think people that are very focused on transaction right now, and I respect it and I understand it. For me, I'm playing the long game. And so I think at the end of the day, it's, if you need transactions now, then it's okay to ask for them. I think it's okay to say, hey, you guys love this store. I've been open here in Baskin Ridge or Burnsville, New Jersey, or Milburn or Maplewood. I need your help. Please come visit. I think it's okay to ask right now. I think a lot of people want to help and maybe don't know how to help. And by liking or purchasing a $5 soap from a local store, or buying a bottle of wine, or by buying a meal, I think people want to. I think people want to. And I think not everybody has funds to be giving generous offers, donations. So 15, $20 can go a long way for a small shop. Focusing on giving. And if you need it now, I think it's okay to ask.
100%. I think this is a conversation I've had with business owners, especially around here, for a long time, and people feeling like they couldn't do that, or seeing people do it in the wrong way, like begging almost, like, yeah, don't do that. Just be open and sincere and honest. But something you said stood out to me just in that, like, you get that small order, and it kind of gets you a little pumped up. And what I was asking more so is like, when the example of the wine store, for instance, we reduced that barrier where you could only come in the store, or you could only do it over the phone. Now people are placing orders in the middle of the night. They're sitting in their bed and they're just like, I think I'm going to get this. And, they want that convenience, and it changed everything. And so if you're a small business owner and things have been slow, but you create an e-commerce site and you wake up in the morning, you're like, it's only a few orders. Maybe it's only $50 total, but you're like, oh my God, people are there. People care. People are interested.
Right. My own dad is doing it with winetext.com.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can order wine and it could be delivered, or curbside, or the local pizzeria here. They're doing curbside and deliveries. And so I think that I think offering and people in your community highlighting these businesses are super important. If you're a person that loves to give, right now is the time to help your community and these small businesses. If you're a frequent buyer at a liquor store, at a boutique, at wherever, like maybe even the gym, like I love Bar Method in Bernardsville, and maybe doing highlights for them because they're doing virtual classes that you can still purchase. So plugging those kind of businesses is key.
Yes, absolutely. Do you have, is there like the next door thing in your area?
Yeah, it's so interesting. My little brother, when I'm always trying to pick their brains and ask them their thoughts, how and what can I do? And my little brother said in Westchester, he sees agents always on Nextdoor. Like being real estate for me is it's a natural to be the mayor of the town because not only are you helping clients purchase, but they need recommendations for doctors and the dentist and where should we go for this, and do you have a farmer's market, and where's the library, and so it's like a no-brainer. And so I think next door is where a lot of agents, I don't post ever really much at all there, but that's a community that so many put on. And I would recommend, these local stores highlighting their own businesses to share, hey, we're here. Facebook, I don't do a lot on Facebook, but Facebook has a ton of community pages. Baskin
Mhm.
Ridge has Baskin Ridge Moms, and we all kind of collab and say, these are the stores that are still open. So I think that's important.
Yeah, I've seen a big highlight in both of those. I'd never used Nextdoor before, but a few of my neighbors were like, "Hey, people are talking about your restaurant on Nextdoor," and I'm like, "Really? Okay." And
Awesome.
then we were like voted one of the best in Windsor Terrace,
Yeah.
which doesn't mean much because there's only a few here, but
Yeah.
um, but so I finally made an account and I went on and I just posted once and just said, hey, the wine store and the liquor store are still open. We're going to do everything we can to service this community. Don't hesitate to reach out. We'll accommodate everybody's
Yeah.
distancing protocols and needs and requirements. It kept me in the loop, and the community is just doing it. People are creating spreadsheets. These restaurants are open. These are their hours. This is the way to contact them. And they're like 20, 30,
Yes.
like just community members are doing it. And I've seen the same in Facebook, like the Kensington Windsor Terrace patch here on Facebook. Same thing. And it's really fascinating to see that, where people is often, they don't have the money necessarily to
Sure.
buy from you, but that attention currency again comes up
For
and it's
me,
huge.
for me, I put out Facebook and on Instagram, my handle Liz Novello, Novello.
Thank
Everybody's
you.
Novella. I went from Vaynerchuk, which got butchered all the time, to now Novello, and it gets butchered. And I'm like, what? That's such an easy last name. But anyway, um, people have reached out. I've offered to share anybody's local businesses in my town. So I'm happy to do these forever as long as it's helping somebody in their community.
And that's where it's at, right? It's like almost everybody has some sort of social media account, where they can, or they're on Nextdoor or whatever. And it's like, if you, I mentioned it to you on the phone yesterday, and this is what I've said to people from the beginning, because I had a sense something was going to happen in the business community over the last few years. I didn't know what. I certainly didn't think it was going to be like this, but I imagined there was going to be a little purging at some point, just keeping my ear to the rail. And right away, I just said, pick the 5 businesses you want to see, like the small businesses, whatever, Dunkin' Donuts will survive.
Yes.
Pick the 5 that you want to see when this is all over, and support them a little bit consistently. We don't need the $200 order ones and then not hear from you again. Just a little bit, but it doesn't always have to be monetary. Just keeping your business top of mind with people, so that when,
Huge.
the sky's part, it's like, well, we were here, we're still here, and try, like you said, be a giver, be a do-gooder in this time. It's not, I don't think it behooves anybody to be kind of greedy and stingy. And sure, we're all feeling the thumb. Everything is down.
I would have your wife maybe post that you guys are open, because every mom right now is looking at the clock at 5 o'clock and thinking, can I find myself a glass of wine?
Yeah.
And
More like noon.
I'm not gonna lie, it was 2:30 one day. I'm like, hey, is this? And I'm not even a big drinker, but I'm like, is this acceptable?
No, and it's funny that you say that because I've been kind of urging my wife. Again, neither of us were active on social media, and then I went down the rabbit hole big time. And they're just
Sure.
like, "Who are you? What happened?"
Yeah.
And but she's she's got a Facebook account and a lot of friends, and I've been kind of nudging her, and prior to
Not
this, she really wasn't doing anything, but now she's done a fantastic job of it, and
awesome.
she's been a huge help. I know you're very fond of your family. My family has been a huge support in all this,
Love it.
and as stressful as it is, I don't think I would do any of this without them, without my kids looking up to me with those proud eyes and just all of it. It's
Awesome.
really fascinating. Well, we have about 60 seconds left. Is there any last message you want to share with
Yes.
the viewers and listeners? Go for it.
Um, Listen, I was a stay-at-home mom for over 7 years. I didn't think I could do it. And now I feel like I'm leading a new version of what this industry has and taking chances and being okay with failure because what's the worst thing that can happen? Doesn't work out. And then you try something else. So I'm encouraging you all to stay healthy and safe, but also to really push yourselves outside your normal limits.
That's so fascinating. Your innovation and your positive energy, really, it's been an inspiration to me.
Thank you very much.
I've only really been, privy to what you're doing recently, but it's definitely giving me some fuel, and I'm trying to share that with people. So,
I so appreciate
really, tell everybody one more time your where they can reach you or find you.
Liz Novello, LizNovello on Instagram. Same on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn with Prominent Properties Sotheby's, the Gosling Group. And here to help if you have any social media questions or real estate needs or questions or anything I could do.
Awesome.
I'm here.
Thank you so much for coming
Thank
on. It's
you.
really
Thank you.
my pleasure. Look forward to keeping up with you. And maybe after this is all over, we actually have you in the studio. We could
I would
sit,
love that.
relatively close to each other.
And I love food. So could we do it at your restaurant, please?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got it. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Have an awesome weekend. If you got some value out of this, you liked what you heard, share the video on Facebook. And we'll see you next week with my guest, another Jersey boy, Tony DiSilvestro, my mentor, one of my early bosses. I was just a baby when I started working for him. He's hilarious. Tune in next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Have a good
Peace
weekend.
out. Thank you.